Hey everyone, so this is gonna be my Wild Rift tier list, and as of beta, these are my tier list for the champions and which champions are really good and which champions are just overpowered, and some champions are meant not to be touched at all. So yeah, so let's start with Irie. I think Irie is pretty good for starting mage champion that they give you. So I will put Irie at around B tier. S tier will be for like the champion that literally have like 70% win rate or above, even with like 80 or 90 games on her. So for example, that will obviously get Camille on the S tier. So the reason why I put Irie at B is because uh Irie is pretty like weak early game, because she don't have the items to actually snowball into the late game, or like the items doesn't really synergize with her well. She needs some like slow, like the hex stack, the item that slows people, the hex stack one. So yeah, so that would be the item that Irie need, and Irie doesn't really have it, so Irie gets a B tier. And late game, her damage drops off in the late game as well, so it's not really good. And the next champion we have is Alista. So I will put it around B tier as well. So if you messed up your combo on Alista, it can really like throw the entire game. So it's really like situational on like depending on who picks the champion. Alista can be really good at tower diving as well. So yeah, keep that in mind, guys. So it's B tier because I think like new players to this game doesn't really know how to tower dive and don't really like know how to like use his combo. So I'll put him at B tier. And for the third champion we have Amumu. So I'll put him at around C tier. Because Amumu right now, I feel like he's not really that good in like the jungle right now because of the meta. Like he can't really like out jungle all these like strong junglers that are out right now. So I think that Amumu should be a C tier. Amumu doesn't really like haven't like seen the daylight for quite a while now. I've not even run into one Amumu player. So yeah, Amumu is pretty weak, and such a pretty simple champion because it doesn't have mobility as well, so it gets a C tier. Annie is pretty good mage as well. It's good for beginners, so I'll put it at B tier. She got the tables, just a free win if you build Rylai's on that thing. And Ashe I would say is an A tier because you can pretty much control her ulti. You can try to like snipe ulti across maps, which makes it very easy. So Ashe is definitely A tier. She can actually control ulti, and yeah, that is just insane. So for Aurelius, I will put him at B tier. Aurelius is not like a new player friendly champion, so I'll put him at B tier. It's actually hard to like maneuver around with his passive. So for Blitz, I'll actually put him at A tier, I would say, because the hooks are pretty like hard to dodge with the joystick, and not many people really like dodge the hooks anyways. And then you have the auto locking thing that you can use. So yeah, Blitz is pretty solid. And for Braum, I think I'll put him at B tier because not really, I have not seen like Braum players, and right now for the AD carries there's no Lucian, so you can't really synergize with Lucian. Then if you want to pick Ezreal into Braum, you might have a hard time in the lane because the Ezreal might not be able to hit your Braum passive, and yeah, Braum loves to tower dive, so with this current meta, I don't think he fits into the game. And next we have Camille. So like I said, Camille is such a free elo champion right now, so it instantly gets an S tier. And Mando, I would say gets a C tier because once you build, okay, there will obviously be a Vayne because Vayne is A tier right now. Where is Vayne? Hold on, Vayne. Okay, so Vayne I think is A tier, which counters Mando pretty much. So in higher elo, you expect to see Vayne, Ezreal, all these. Ezreal I would say A tier as well. So most of the AD carries get A tier because they are able to surpass the mid game. So there's really like no mid game in this game. You pretty much goes to the end game and start stacking all these like bullshit items and then can just one shot all the things. So Mando is pretty much useless. He's only good for early game. Once you got the Grievous Wound on Mando, is pretty much over. So Ezreal gets an A tier as well because he's pretty strong with the Mana Mew and the item that you can get off from the boots, the new item that comes with it. So it's more sustain for him. Fiora, so Fiora actually gets a B tier. I would say Fiora is like still pretty good, but if you can like dive into the backlines, then you're pretty much screwed. So Fiora gets a B. I would say Fizz is pretty good. Fizz can either go into S or A tier depending on the player. So I would say Fizz gets an A tier. Fizz is pretty strong because of the lack of magic resist items you can build on the duelist and even AD carries even. So there is pretty much no counter to Fizz if you're AD carry. You're pretty much dead. So Garen, I would say Garen is just it's a new friendly champion. He gets a C tier. Pretty much useless late game. And Gragas. So Gragas is very situational. It depends on the player really. So if you can manage to hit the barrels and even do a E-flash combo, which is the body slam and then flash, so it's really like unpredictable. So yeah, Gragas I would say is a B tier. It's not really a A tier either because like I said, the jungle meta is really in the aggressive early game ganking, and pretty much his ulti is not snowballing or even power spike ability. And next we have Graves. I would say I will put him at A tier. He's pretty good. He got a damage early game even. He can fight the Master Yi or even like other junglers early game. So he's a pretty good champion to pick if you're looking to invade or even play aggressive. And a lot of the players right now are like just going for AD characters right now, so there are very lack of mage players. So you can just get away with playing Graves by just stacking his passive. So Janna, I would say A tier. Janna is pretty good if you know what you're doing because there's a lot of like diving champions right now, and if you can keep the AD carry safe, you're good to go. So Janna is pretty solid. For Javanfall, I will put him at B tier because if you messed up your EQ combo, you're pretty much dead in this game, and it's pretty hard to use the EQ combo, and I don't think your teammates will really follow you in the low elo game. So in higher elo, I mean I can put him at A tier, but like I said, most of the players in low elo right now except for the tryhards. So yeah, so J4 get a B tier. Jax is pretty good, especially in low elo. So if you're playing in the jungle, Jax is pretty strong because there's a lot of Master Yi player, Olaf, all these heavily attack based champion and even AD carries. So Jax can pretty much counter all the AD carries and the attack based champions. So Jax gets an A tier. I would say Jhin actually I think can go into S tier. Just that the people that are playing Jhin is pretty bad. So Jhin is S tier because his curtain call can actually 100 to 0 people. Like if you're a little bit fat, you can just 100 to 0 people with his curtain call. Like if you can manage to hit all your shots. So Jhin is pretty good. Jinx I would say gets a A tier. No A tier, B tier. Because it lacks mobility and it can easily get dived. So unless if you're like have a very strong support, you can actually get away with playing Jinx. Lux I would say gets a C tier. Lux is just the people are playing Master Yi, so why would you want to pick Lux? Master Yi meta is just dumb, so it gets a C. Master Yi is pretty weak late game, so like for example if you get hard CC by Camille or even condemned by Vayne, get silenced by Blitzcrank, you're pretty much gone. Like if they pick Blitzcrank into you, you're gone. Like when you're fast strike, once you come out of it, he can just knock you up and silence you, so you're just standing there for like next few seconds and then the AD carry can just chunk you down. so there's really no point playing Master Yi. Misfortune. Misfortune as a AD carry lacks of mobility, so it's a B tier. It's not really good. They have turned it into a skill shot, but then it still lacks of damage. The items that Misfortune can go is like pretty bad, so it gets a B tier. Nami synergizes pretty well with Vayne, but then doesn't really synergize with other champion. It can synergize well with Jinx. Not Jinx. Jinx is viable, but Jhin will be better. So Nami with Jhin or Ashe, it will be good. But with Ezreal, it's not that good. So yeah, Nami gets a B tier. For Nessus will get, you know, C tier, pretty much. It's not that good. Nessus is just like one of those picks that you go when you are like, when you don't feel like playing the game at all, because it's just a boring character. But if you farm well, you can actually get a free elo out of it. So it's really good for low elo. Like if the game goes on and the enemy team can end the match, you can pretty much get away with it. So for Olaf, where is Olaf? Where you go? Where did Olaf go? What the heck? Okay, Olaf is here. So Olaf gets C tier. He's pretty strong early game, but these matches tend to last until late game. So if you're not playing with full stack, there's really no point picking Olaf like into a solo queue environment. So there's no point playing him. He's pretty strong, but the AD carries, if one of the AD carries get easily fed, you are pretty much gone for the late game, because Olaf late game is like so trash. There's really like no point playing Olaf. The matches tend to get very long in this game, even though they say it's gonna be like 10 minutes, 15 minutes average. So the next champion we have is Orianna, and Orianna I would say is a pretty viable champion right now. If you know what you're doing with the Orianna ball, it's pretty strong if you have Malphite on your team, or like someone that can pass the ball into the whole team. So like Orianna J4 or like Camille. Orianna Camille is pretty strong. You can like instantly delete the enemy carries. So for that, Orianna will get a A tier, I would say. Where is Orianna now? Oh, it's right here. So Shyvana, I mean, gets an A tier. It's pretty strong. You can either go AP or AD depending on your. It's very flexible on what your team needs. So yeah, it gets an A tier. I mean, if you're going AP, it deals a lot of damage. If you're going AD, it also deals a lot of damage. If your team needs a tank, you can also get a bruiser. So it's pretty flexible. But the thing about Shyvana is that you can only play in the jungle, or you know, if you want to like risk it, you can play in the top lane as well, but it's not gonna be as good. For Singe gets actually Singe is between A and B tier, so I'll say I put it in the A tier, because some of the players like really get caught off out of position, so you can easily catch them, and late game you can just run it down on them. So Singe gets A tier. And for Sona, so I would say Sona is pretty easy to play, so B tier, but it's not that great either, because his Crescendo can actually be dodged if you QSS. So but then the QSS is really cheap, so a lot of people will be getting QSS. So Sona ulti is pretty much gone. Everyone will be bidding QSS anyways. So instead of A tier, I will put here B tier. Sona is pretty simple champion, so it's pretty good. You can poke in and laning. And this game pretty much doesn't have mana, so yeah, you can play Sona. And Soraka, where's Soraka? Soraka, I would say B tier as well. Pretty weak if your team doesn't know like what they're doing, so don't expect to like carry any game with Soraka at all, because if your team is bad, then your LP is at the fate of your teammates, so it gets a B tier or even C tier even. It's because it really depends on your teammates. Trendemir, I think Trendemir can like solo carry games, and you know he just split push all the way, and then you can't really kill him because he just gets away and split push all the game. So he gets a B tier, but there's no rage plate right now, so Trem might not be exactly that strong, but you can still make him viable. Twisted Fate, I think Twisted Fate is really good, so I'll give him an A tier because the game is like so much skirmishing in the early game, so you can just like keep roaming and then have global pressure. Virus, I would say it gets a tier. Virus is pretty good as well, so Virus gets a tier. There's like a lot of champions that heals a lot, so his E can actually like prevent them from healing, and his ulti is pretty good as well, so you can like set up for your team, and you can poke the enemy team like from afar with his Q, first ability, so it's pretty good. And next champion we have is Vi. You know, I would say Vi gets a B tier. It can lock people down, but it's only good against like those champions that needs to be locked down. So for example, if you are playing against a Camille or something, or even Ezreal, if you're playing Vi against Ezreal, the Ezreal can actually dodge or Vi ulti with it. I would say I would like to put Ezreal in S tier though. I think that's right, because Ezreal can actually dodge Blitzcrank ulti, I mean the hook with his E, if you can time it right. So Ezreal, I would say, is pretty strong at this point, and it's very slippery as well because of the items that you can build on him. The runes, like the Conqueror, is really easy to stack on Ezreal because he just spams abilities and you can easily get 10 stacks on it. Okay, so the next champion we have is Xing Zhao. Xing Zhao, I would say C tier, honestly, because he doesn't have mobility to run away. He's only strong in the early game. Late game, he's pretty bad as well. Lack of mobility, so I put him in the C tier. He's not really that overpowered either. So Yao Su, the most cancerous champion League have made. I just go straight to D tier. Because Yao Su, I would say, it's like depending on the player, so it can be really strong or really like just an inter. If you have a Yao Su on your team and if they're not good, just, you know, you just lost the game, so there's no point. I would say just stay away from this champion if you're new to this game and you're still learning. So yeah, even though he may look cool, but you'll be looking so cool when you're feeding. And Zed, I would say also, I can put him in D tier, but you know, it's like new players get confused with the shadows and just start spamming the shadows and not knowing what they're doing and their damage output. So yeah, Zed is D tier, but if you're a good player, you can like walk the champion. You can make the champion walk. So it's really up to the players really. But in terms of tier list, in my opinion, it's not really that strong. So I'll put him at D tier. Ziggs, actually I've never seen him actually. I have not even faced one Ziggs player at all. But I would say I think he can at least get a C tier, honestly. Because there's a lot of like skirmishes going on, and most of the time the map is really small, so you can just start spamming your abilities and just poke them down when you're sieging towers. Yeah, that would be it all. That would be all for the tier list for beta Wild Rift, and comment in the comment section if you guys disagree with what I put in the tier list. You know, some of the champions are really strong. Like for example, Camille have a pretty solid win rate on like most of the top players in this game right now, and they are all abusing the champion because it's just overpowered. So when I look at the server right now, and the highest ranked player is he have 100 games and 68% win rate on Camille, so that's pretty solid. And second player, he is also playing Camille. He have 60 games and 60% win rate on Camille, and they are both Emerald 1 and Emerald 2 respectively. So yeah, that will be about it all for this video, and make sure you guys subscribe, you know, like the video if you guys enjoy it, and see you guys in the next video. Take care.